The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed upon, unless you are convicted of a crime of domestic battery. So, in the state of Indiana, if you are convicted of a crime involving domestic violence, most common domestic battery with a prior, situations that involve domestic battery, domestic violence, a lot of times if convicted, come with what's called domestic violence determination. That is an absolute death sentence if you are an avid proponent of the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. Because while it is absolutely a constitutional right to keep and bear arms, you can lose that right if you are convicted of a domestic battery offense and they have that domestic determination. It is an automatic disqualifier, and it will make you what is called an improper person in the state of Indiana, which means you can no longer possess a firearm, own a firearm, or purchase a firearm until that is either expunged or you have your rights restored. In other words, you go from being an improper person to a proper person. I know that's kind of weird terminology, but that's how the state of Indiana would qualify it. So, how can you get gun rights back if you're convicted of a crime of domestic battery? Well, it's not as easy as you would think, because there's actually a 5-year waiting period. So if you're convicted and there's a domestic determination, you have to wait 5 years before you can petition the court to have your rights restored. So it is an automatic death sentence for a minimum of 5 years if convicted of a crime of domestic battery. There are other things that would make you an improper person. For example, if you are currently facing felony charges, you can't own or you cannot possess a firearm. Domestic battery and firearm don't mix. So if you, like myself, are an avid fan of the Second Amendment and you are convicted, there are steps we need to take. So if you find yourself in that situation, or even more importantly, if you find yourself facing domestic battery charges, give us a call and let's start fighting this and prevent it from getting to the point where you cannot any longer carry a firearm. So if you find yourself in that position, give us a call, 317-632-3642. Remember, always plead the fifth.